Hello and welcome to this webinar, everyone. Hope everyone is well. This webinar is going to be about new notifications, a new notification module in Clik service, and I'm going to show you how you can use those notifications and why they are useful. But before we begin, just a few little things to look at. We just need to check if anyone's having any problems with their audio, just check these settings in here. So if obviously you won't be able to hear me if you're having problems with audio, but I'm just going to keep this screen up for a couple of seconds, just so everyone can have a little look to make sure they can hear me and they can check their audio. But also this webinar is being recorded, so don't worry if you do encounter any audio issues whilst we're going through the webinar. You will be able to catch up and see this webinar again. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to just to talk about questions. So at the end of the webinar, I will answer some questions. There are quite a lot of attendees today, so I won't answer all of them. But what we will do is everyone will be answered. They'll just be on our website later this week. So without further ado, let's go on to the agenda and what we're going to go through today. So we're going to talk about what are notifications. And then we're going to create internal notifications, we're going to create email notifications, we're going to create Teams notifications. I'm going to create an SMS notification as well, so you can see how that kind of works. And I'm going to try and give you an understanding of what we call timed notifications, which is new to this new module. We'll also be talking about conditions as well in notifications as well, so you can really sort of play with notifications now. Okay, so what are notifications? So notifications are messages to notify the selected users about a change to a property in Clik service. So for example, it could be that a job has been completed and you want a certain amount of users or customers to be notified that that job's been completed, and you might put a template on as well that gets delivered to them via email, or it could be a Teams message or a text message. So notifications can inform you when a job state has been updated as well. So even if you just change the status or something like that, and you wanted to be notified that a status has changed, you could do that as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to just go through some of the types of notifications, and then we're going to build some of them in Clik service so you can see how they work. Okay, so let's go next. So as I said before, a job is complete, a notification is sent to a customer with a job sheet attached. So that's something that you could potentially do. You could update internal staff if a change has been made on a job, a quote, or an invoice via a status or a category change or a user definable field. So you can do any of that. A purchase order has reached a certain value and it needs to be signed off. So basically, it could be that you say over £5,000, I need to send an email to a manager that will be able to then send that that manager will be able to review that purchase order and be able to send it. Okay, so the next thing is quote chase reminders sent at 7 days, 14 days, and 28 days, for example. So that's an important task. So it could be that you might say you create this quote at a certain date, and then 7 days after, you get a reminder to say maybe chase that quote, and then the same for 14 days and then 28 days. And when we go through this particular notification, I'm going to go through how you can copy notifications to make things easier. So if you set them up once, you don't need to set them up twice if there's just slight little changes. So we'll go through that as well. And then there's also another one that's quite a useful notification is an important task that's been ticked on an action list and the head office need to be aware. So it could be something really important that they've ticked on an action list, and then they've sent the job back, and then someone needs to be aware that that's happened on that particular job. We've also got something called low stock notifications as well. So if you are using stock in Clik and there's a low stock notification, then what you'll need to be able to do is you'll get a notification that will say this particular product needs to be reordered at this particular level. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to do some of those now. We're going to keep it really simple to begin with. It's just literally going to be a job is marked complete, and we're going to send an email notification and an internal notification. What email will go to the customer, and the internal one will go to a staff member. So I'm just going to bring up my Clik service. So you should see that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the settings up here, and we're going to go into settings again. We're going to scroll down to where you've got communication, and in communication we've got notifications, and this is what you should see now. At the moment I've got nothing in here because we're starting afresh. We've got no notifications at all. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the add button, which is just here. And the first thing I need to do is find the module that I'm going to do this notification I want. So again, the notification is simply a complete notification sent to a customer with a job sheet attached. That's all I want to do with this one. Okay, so I'm going to go to filter modules. I'm going to go to job, and I'm going to select a notification type as well. So in the notification type, I'm going to put job complete. Sorry, notification title. As you can see, I selected the job module here and it's highlighted in yellow. And I'm simply just going to click on the next button. So I've got myself a nice title for this notification. So the first thing we need to do is to trigger property. So the trigger property is really, really important. So you have to have this to make a notification happen. And in here's a number of properties. We've tried to make it easy for you. So where there's a tick box, it means it's a tick box that is generally in the job sheet. If it's a lookup field, it's generally your drop-down boxes or customers or something like that. If it's a text field, it could be an order reference or a job reference or the prefix. And then we've got date time fields as well, money fields, and classifications, which is your user definable fields. In this case, all I care about is a yes no field, which is the complete button, yes or no. So I'm going to go to yes or no. And you can see there's a couple of tick boxes that we can do in here, some really good ones as well. But in this case, all I'm concerned about here is complete. So I'm going to select complete and I'm going to click on OK. So as you can see, by default, it says complete has changed, but that's not what we really want. We want complete equals yes, that it is complete. I don't care if it's changed from yes or no or yes. I want it to be a yes. So equals yes. And you'll notice here, I could change it to no if I wanted to. Now, I'm not going to put a condition in, but I am going to explain it because we're here. You don't need to put a condition in for this particular trigger notification, but it could be that you only really want to send these templates out to one specific customer. So when it's complete and it equals yes, you might say that I only want it to be one specific customer I want to send it to. So you could click on add condition and you could say, okay, I only want it to be sent to one customer. I don't want all customers getting templates. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go into lookup fields. I'm going to go to customer and I'm going to find the customer by clicking on the orange folder, which is here, and doing A1 design services. So what does this mean? It means that complete equals yes, but the customer has to be A1 design services before we send any notification off. So if I completely do this, that just means that a complete job sheet will go to whoever customer we've completed a job sheet for, which is what you might do if you want, you're happy to send completed details of your job to any of your customers. Okay, so that's what condition is, and we'll go through a little bit more detail with that later as well. But just so you know, you don't necessarily need a condition to create the notification. But that's new in the notification modules, is that you can create conditions which make it a little bit more bespoke for what you want. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to click on next, and then we're going to add the sort of property action that we want. And the property action is these four here. So you could send an email, an SMS, an internal message, or a Microsoft Teams message, which we will be going through today, so you can see how that works as well. But in this case, I'm going to do email, but I'm also going to do an internal message as well. So my email message, I want to go to possibly the job contact or even the company contact. We'll make that decision when we get into the configure bit. Now you'll notice here, we've got enabled. So that means that we are ticking this as enabled. That means that it's going to work straight away. So as soon as I complete a job with a yes, it's going to send out an email or an internal message. Now, if you want to, and you just want to kind of not quite do that yet, you can disable them and then enable them when you're ready to go. But in this case, I am going to tick them as enabled. And then we're going to configure the message that we want to send when a notification gets actioned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on configure. And then the first thing that we need to do is we need to add a recipient. So who's going to receive this message? So if we click on add recipient and we click on individual, we've got a lot of different sort of recipients we can use. So in this case, what I want to do is I want it to really be the contact that is on the job. So we call this the job contact. So what we're going to do is if we go to contact lookup, you'll see it here, job contact, access other. I'm going to go through it and just show you where this is because not many people actually know. So in a job sheet, you will see the tab access other. That's where you can put the actual job contact. So it might not be the main contact of the company that needs to know that the job's complete. It could be someone completely different. And that's where you would put that person. However, if you wanted to, it could be the main contact of that company. And it could also be the main site contact of that company as well, the site you're on. Okay, so there are different ways you can do this. In this case, I'm going to do job contact. So the job contact will receive that email. So the next thing that we can do is a subject line as well. So I'm going to say something like here, job number, colon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert tags. So I'm going to click on insert tags. And I'm going to say, okay, well, I need to display the job number. So as you can see, there's a number of properties that you can select from that you want to display. So I'm going to go for number fields. And we're going to select job number. So that'll just put the job number in there, okay? Now, if you guys say, okay, well, actually, we need the prefix as well, then you do have to go to insert tags. And this time it's text fields, and you'll see something called job number full. So full job number here, okay? So if guys that are using prefix, that's what you might need in there, okay? Oh, and in that case, I don't want it there. I just want it after where I've got this as well. So just put that there. So, and then I'm going to say has been completed. So you could literally just do that as your subject line, okay? And then your from address is usually your shared mailbox item that you might have in here. So for example, I've got training@clicksoftware.com. Now it's important to remember that we recommend obviously your Office 365 integration and you have a shared account that can send these notifications off. If you want more information on that, we have a previous webinar on Office 365 and we have a lot of articles about how to set that up as well if you don't have Microsoft 365. Okay, but essentially you'll be sending from your shared mailbox. Okay, now the next bit is the template that we also want to send to them. So when a job is complete, it might be that you want to send that customer a template straight away. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the little PDF icon and we're going to select template. So I'm just going to select a template that I can put in here. So I'm just going to do job with photos and then press OK. So that job with photos is now in there. Now what I can possibly do is I can possibly go to certificate and then include PDF of certificate if linked as well. So that's if I have ClickCert. In this case, we don't need to worry about that. It's only if you've got a shared database with ClickCert, but you don't need to worry about that generally. And the next bit is your message as well. So what's the message that we want to send out to this particular recipient about that the job is complete? So what we're going to do is we're going to go hi, and then I'm going to go into insert tags, and then I'm going to find the job contact, and I'm going to find the text fields. And in the text fields, I'm going to have first name. So there you go, I've got first name. So we know that it's hi address contact dot first name. So as long as you've got that job contact in there, it's going to display their name. And then you can start putting in the word that you want, the message that you want. So you could say job number has been completed. So we can then put in the job number in here as a tag. So again, I'm going to go to my insert tags and I'm going to go to text field and I might do job number full. And then you might even put some more information and it could be the location of where that job has happened. So for insert tag, and I could go into here, so you can see location company. I go into text fields, and you can see company name if you want to. You can also go into a few others. So there's quite a few other little fields that you can use if you need to. So I've got location address, and I could say, okay, well, actually what I want is the address in one line as text. So that comes up for, there we go, for the site, and displays the location address. You then could do things actual work done. So you could then type in actual work done. And again, I can go into insert tags, and I can go and find actual work done. So I can go to my text fields, I can do actual work time, no timestamps. I might not want to show the timestamp, but you could do if you want to. And that'll display the work you've done on that job as well. Obviously, you can put as much information as you want in that email. So that's really it. That's set up our email configuration. Now, what I might want to do is to have similar for the internal message, but the internal message is going to be for our staff. So I might just copy this, press OK, go into internal, and then put that in there as well. So you could do that if you wanted to. But what I might do is I might actually change this, because I don't actually want it to be addressed to the job contact, because it's going to be a staff member potentially. So I'm going to go to add recipient, so who wants to receive it. What you could do is you could choose a group. So if you set your groups up in Clik, it could be that entire group that gets a message when a job has been completed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on individual, and I'm going to say Paul Benson is going to get that message. Okay, so that's perfect. And I'm going to click on OK. So that's now an email and internal message sent. You could go another step further. You could also do an SMS as well. An SMS message could be sent as well. So I could go to SMS. I could then go and configure that. And I could say, okay, well, I'm going to add an individual. Now, as long as I've got the mobile phone number of that particular job contact lookup, I could also do that. So job contact and recipient, close, and say job, and then put in job number again. Has been completed. And what you could say for, they might have a reference that you've put on the job sheet. So we could go for and then insert tags so they know which it is, text fields, and there's going to be also our ref or order ref. Press OK. Okay, so that's the sort of thing you could do. Now, text messaging, you do need to buy text messages off Clik. So it's 500 text messages for £50, I believe, but it's worth just speaking to your account manager if you do feel you want to do SMS messages. Okay, so again, I could also do the Teams, but we're going to come to that later. I'm going to show you how to set that up. So we're going to finish that. That's our first notification that we set up. So the next one I want to do is I want to do something about, say, timed notifications. So this could be that I want my engineers to be notified maybe a day before the job is due that they're going to. So you can see how that kind of works as well. So it's the same principle. We're going to do another notification. So we're going to click on add. But this time I'm going to click job, but I'm actually going to select job engineer planning, which is this one. So I'm going to call it engineer reminder notification. So job engineer planning, I'm going to click on next, and I need a trigger property, but this time my trigger property is actually going to be a date field. So I'm going to click on date time fields in here, and I'm going to do start date. So this is the engineer's start date. Now, what it's saying here, on the day, so I could send a notification on the day that they've got that job. But in this case, I actually want to do it maybe one day before. So one day before, my engineers are going to get notified about the jobs that they've got. So they will get a notification per job, okay? So what we're going to do is one day before, I'm going to click on next. And then you'll notice that we've got this new box here that says earliest time to send this notification as soon as possible. Now you could change that and say, well, actually what I want it to be done is I want it to be sent at maybe 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so you could send that. So it's sent at 9 o'clock in the morning and sent to that engineer to say, this is your jobs for tomorrow. Something like that potentially. Or you could go back and we could change it to say, well, actually, let's do it on the day. So let's do it on the day. So they get notified on the day at 9 o'clock in the morning. Or if they're early, you could say 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that. It's the earliest time to send this notification is 6 o'clock in the morning. In this case, I'm actually going to just click across and do it as soon as possible, but it will just send on that day as soon as it can. Okay. So we need to add a new action. So this time I'm going to do email again, and I'm going to configure the email, and I'm going to put my recipients in. So add recipients, and I'm going to click on individual. So in this case, it's going to be my module lookup, and it's going to be job engineers. So it's going to be the engineers that are on the job that are going to get this notification. Okay. So I'm going to click on job engineers. And that means that my engineers will get that particular message for their job and what they've got to do today. So in this case, I'm going to go and click on subject. And I'm going to click on insert tags. And I might put the job number in, for example. So this time in my properties, I've got to go to job, I've got to go to text fields, and I've got to go to full job number. So we're going to select that, job number full, and press OK. And then I could put has been assigned to you. And in here, I might just put job number as well. And then from, again, it could be your shared email account. And again, you could as well send the engineer a template as well, just to put extra cautious, so we could put that in as well if we needed to. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to put in a message as well for the engineer, and it could just be some useful information. So we might again put job number in here in the main message. We're going to insert tags. I'll go to job. I'm going to go to text fields, and I'm going to do full job number again. So job number full. And then I might put job description. And then we're going to go and insert tags again. And this time it will be job, and it will be text fields, and it will be description in here. So no timestamp. And then you might put company, who you're going to, or company address. And then you'll go to insert tags, and then we'll go to job, and then we're going to click on probably one location address, and then you've got text fields, and then you've got address 19 or address 19 with description. If you are using descriptions in your sites, it will send that. Okay, and then it might be company contact as well. So we'll put company contact in. Now in this case, I'm probably, as you can see, got spell check as well, so you can right click. Yeah, spell checked. Got company contact. I might insert tag in there. I might go into job, and then I'm going to find you need probably job contact is what I want. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go to job contact. I'm going to text fields, and I'm going to go first name, or you might do full name. Okay, so you can put that detail in there. As long as that data is in your database, it will be displayed for the engineers when they get that message. So click OK, and that is now set as an email. And again, you could do it as an internal message as well, or an SMS if you need to. But we'll just keep that as an email. Click finish, and that's now our second one, but that's what we call a timed notification. So the property is a start date, and the notification is going to happen on the day, okay, as soon as possible that we set it to. But like I said, you could change it to 9 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever you want. Okay, so that's 2 notifications that we've done so far. Now, the next notification is going to be about quotes. and how you can send reminders maybe to yourselves in 7 days, 14 days, and 28 days, just as an example. I just want to show you that because I'm going to show you the copy feature as well for the notifications. But before we do that, I am going to take a look at the Teams notification part. So I want to show you how you set that up, because there is a bit of a setup you need to do as part of Microsoft. Okay, so in your settings, you're going to see something called Microsoft Teams down here. Now, when you're in here, it will say what you need to set up. So it will say, in order for Clik to communicate with your Microsoft Teams, we require a webhook to be set up. You can do this by following instructions within this guide found here. So that will link you to a Microsoft document that will tell you how you can link webhooks up. But I'm going to show you how you can do that because I've got it on my particular Teams. So just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to bring my Teams up. So you will see something like this. So in your Teams channel, so I've got my training team here and I've got my testing webhooks. So that's one of my channels in my training team. So if I go to testing webhooks and I click on the 3 dots, you will see something called connectors. And that's what you'll need to get to. So if you get to connectors, that's going to bring up loads of apps that you can apply to your teams. But the one that you're really interested in is something called incoming webhook, which is a Microsoft sort of API, if you like. So you could search for it if you can't find it. So you can put an incoming webhook. As you can see, mine is already configured, but what you'll see is you'll see an add button. You just simply click on add, and I'm just going to click on configure anyway, just to show you how it's done. So if I click on configure, you'll notice in here to set up an incoming webhook, provide a name and select create. So what you can do is you can create a name. So I'll just call it Clik notification. You can also give yourself a logo as well. So when this notification gets sent in Teams, it could be a logo of some sort. Once you've done that, all you need to do is you need to just click on create. And then you'll see this little URL here. And this is very, very, very important. So what you need to do is you need to copy that to your clipboard. Okay, that's all you need to do. And then just click done. So now that you've copied that to your clipboard, all you need to do is go back into Clik Service. So this is what we're going to do now. We're going to go back into Clik Service. Just get me Clik Service again. That's it. And I go into my settings. There we go. So in here, I've got my channel. So I could say, okay, it's testing webhooks. That was the channel, but you could call it something else if you need to. And then I've got to put that web URL that we've copied into here, and I'll click on paste, and you simply just click add. And that will put it onto there. Obviously, I've done this a few times, so it's enabled quite a few times. But that's essentially how you will set up to use Microsoft Teams. And this is what we're going to do for the quote chase reminders setup now. So I'm going to go back to notifications, and we're going to go through that kind of example of creating a quote chase reminder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on add. And this time I'm going to go to filter modules and I'm going to type in quote. And I'm going to call it quote 7-day chase, for example. And then we're going to click on next. And I'm going to select the property, which is going to be a date property. And it's going to be the quote date. So it's what the quote date is set to, and it's going to be 7 days from that. So I'm going to highlight quote date, and I'm going to click on OK. And it's not going to be on the day. We're actually going to do it days after. So after that date, and we're going to make it 7 days after. However, there is something we need to think about here. We don't necessarily want that for every single quote. So the status, you're going to have your statuses are going to change. For example, I don't need a chase for a quote that's already been accepted. So you might decide that you need to put in some conditions. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to add a condition. And I'm going to click on my magnifying glass. And I'm going to click up lookup fields. And I'm going to select status. So I don't want it equals. What I want it to be is I don't want this trigger property happening if the status is accepted. So I change this equals to does not equal. So status does not equal accepted. So that means that it will still send as long as that status is not accepted. Okay, so then I could also say, I could do it for another status as well. So I could say new item, and I could change this to or, so it could be either accepted or another status that I don't want this message to be sent, because we don't need to chase them because they've accepted it or it's been completed. So we're going to find another status. So I'm going to click on here, click on lookup fields, click on status again, click on OK, does not equal, and then I might say complete. So that means that this property change notification will go to every other status apart from anything that is accepted or complete. So you kind of just need to maybe think about how you're going to use those conditions if it's something you're interested in. Okay, so now I'm happy with that. I'm going to click on next. And it's the same principle before. We've got the earliest time to send this notification. We might say, yep, actually, I want that sent at 9 in the morning, just to notify me straight away, and then I can get to work and start chasing those clients potentially about these quotes. So the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to add new action, and this time I'm going to do Microsoft Teams. So I just want an internal Teams message that goes into my channel to chase them up. So I could go into Microsoft Teams and I could click on configure, and then I can start saying, okay, which Teams channel do I want this to go to? So if I click on add recipient and I click MS Teams webhooks, I can select it. So I've obviously got my testing webhooks, and I've got another one called training general, but I'm just going to click on that one, and my testing webhooks channel will receive this message basically. And then in the subject, I can put 7-day quote chase for, and then I can go insert tag, I can go into company, I can go into text fields, and I can go into company name. So I'm using these tags so I know it's going to display the company name. And in the message, I could just put in, please chase quote. For, again, I can then company display name. So I'm just going to company, text fields, company name. And then I could also put the title of the quote as well. So I could put title, and I could insert tag. And again, I can go into my text fields in here, and I can find title. And then I could put in quote number as well. Insert tag, go to my number fields, and put in quote number. So you can go to town with that. You can make as many tags, you put as many tags as you like in your Microsoft Teams message. Okay, so I'm going to press OK. That's enabled, and it's only going to happen at 9 o'clock in the morning. But again, if I click on that cross there, it could be as soon as possible as well. You will then also have the option to do emails and internal messages as well. Okay, so you've still got those options. You can have all those actions if you wish. And then click on finish. So that's finished. We've now got that quote 7-day chase. So I wanted to just talk about how you might copy this to maybe make a 14-day chase. So rather than having to do all of that information again, what we're going to do is going to highlight that, and we're going to click on options, and we click copy. As simple as that. And then all I need to do is I need to just change the title to 14-day chase. And then I can just change the days after 14 days as well. Okay, again, I'm keeping my conditions. I don't want this bit sent if the status is accepted or the status is complete. And then I can just press OK. I've now got my 14-day chase. So that's how you can use the options and copy on here. Okay. Just a couple of other things whilst we're in the options bit. You can validate your PCN. So basically, it will tell you if it won't work. So if your options are validate PCN, it will check it, make sure it's okay. And you can just validate it if you need to, and it will tell you if it won't work. All right. Okay, so the other thing that you've got is also manage templates, and we're going to go through that now. We're going to create another notification where we're going to use a email template. Again, email templates is something that we have done a webinar on before. So by all means, go back to that webinar about how you can create email templates, but you can bring your email templates into your notifications as well. So the next one I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do one called low stock notification. So it's all about, you know, reorder levels, reorder quantities, and if it hits a particular amount, then you're going to get a notification that it's hit its low stock. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on add, and we're going to click on product, and we're going to find product location quantity. That's the one we want. So we're going to click on highlight that, and then we're going to go to notification title, and I'm going to call it low stock notification. We're going to click on next, and I'm going to select my trigger property in here. So I'm going to click on the magnifying glass, and we're going to click on the yes, no fields is what you want for this one. And you're going to see available quantity is below reorder level. Okay, so if it hits that below reorder level that you set in your products, which is something you need to do for this to work, then it will send a low stock notification. So we're going to click on next, and again add new action, but this time I'll just do an internal message, and I'm going to click on configure, and I'm going to add a recipient on here, and it could be an individual or it could be a group within the business that you want it to go to. In this case, I'm going to put it Paul Benson and click close. And then here I can then start putting details about the product that is low on stock and how many you might order. So let's just give that a go. So I'm going to go into insert tags. I'm going to go into product, and the first thing I want is the product description. And then I'm going to put needs to be reordered. Please reorder. And then I'm going to insert tag. And then you're going to see, you should see reorder level. There we go. Or reorder quantity, sorry, that's what you want. So basically what we're saying here is the product description needs to be reordered. Please reorder whatever you set your reorder quantity to. And that will go to Paul Benson. So I'm going to click OK. And once that's done, we're going to click on finish. So now we've got another low stock notification. Okay, so that's another notification that we've created that we think might be useful. There's so many you can do. Obviously, if you've got any questions, put them in the questions. If there are any good ones that we've got, then I will go through them. But I'm going to do one more, and it's going to be about purchase orders. So what we're going to do is a purchase order has reached a certain value and needs to be signed off. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the add button again. I'm going to go filter modules. I'm going to go purchase order. Oh, I'll go back and make sure I put a title in. PO is over £5,000. There you go. Purchase order is over £5,000. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on next. I'm going to click on the trigger property here. In this case, it's a money field value. So that's what we're looking at to trigger this notification. So I'm going to go to money fields, and this time I'm going to do total gross. So I'm going to click on OK on there. Now, by default, it always goes to has changed, but what we're going to do is we can go, there's quite a lot of different ones you can do here. So you could do between certain values, or it could be equals to or more than. So I'm going to do this one. So more than or equals, and then I'm going to put £5,000 in there. And then I click next, and then I'm going to add a new action. And this time it might be an internal message and an email message if it's really important that someone receives that. In this case, I'll just keep on with email. I'm going to click on configure, add recipient, add an individual, and it could be a manager if I've got it set up, or I could go into company contacts. So these are my company contacts that I have. So it could be a manager. Again, I'm going to go Paul Benson. And I'm going to put subject and say PO over £5,000. has been raised. And then from, again, use your shared email. Again, I'm going to use a template. Just so you know, you can only select one template. I think that was a question that somebody asked at the moment. PDF template will only show one template. You can't put multiple templates when you're sending the emails out from a notification, just so you're aware. Okay, so the next thing that we got is I'm going to write in a message in here. So I'm just going to put purchase order and then put the number in. Again, watch my spelling. Go to insert tags. Again, I'm just going to go to number fields, purchase order number. There we go. Needs to be signed off as over that amount of money. Okay, so that's something you could easily send as well. So I'm going to click OK, and that's configured. And again, you can make an internal message as well if you need to. So I click on finish, and that's set in there. So the other thing I just wanted to quickly go through is just maybe using your email templates. So if we click on add, I'm just going to do a quick one on a job status change. So click on job, I click job status change, click next, and then all I care about is lookup fields, status, okay, has changed, okay? And click next, and then I can do add new action, I can click on email, I can then click on configure, but I can use a template this time. So I can find a template that I wanted to. So here's one I made earlier, job completed, for example. I can use that template and it will define it and it will put it into here, okay? And then you can then also just add your PDF that you want to be sent when that's done. So that's what you'll use templates are. So remember, email templates, it is another sort of module that we've updated recently. We have a webinar on that, so by all means, please look on our support site and you'll be able to find that if you want to have a look on it. Again, I just want to add recipients as well. So I might put the contact lookup. It's just a job contact in here. Click close, press OK, and click finish. So that's it. So that's all the notifications that we set up. Now I just want to show you what some look like. So what they look like when they come through. So just bear with me 1 second whilst I make that happen. So I'm going to go to a job. I'm going to complete a job which hasn't been complete. And I might put some detail in as well. Just make sure I've got some detail in there. And then we talked about job contact. So in Access Other, that's where you put the job contact. Okay, just in case you guys aren't aware, I'm going to complete this job, save it, and I'm going to bring over the notification when it comes through to me. Let's see what it looks like. Make sure it's coming. Let's double check. That's funny. I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to press OK before you those notifications work actually out of the settings. So just be aware of that. Always press OK at the end. I'll do that again. So that should come up in a minute. There we go. So I'm going to bring one over so you can see it. That's what it looks like, an internal message. So what you can do from here, just so you know, when you've got that message in here, you can click on view, so that'll take you straight to the job. You can also go to options and you can say remind me in an hour, remind me this afternoon, or remind me tomorrow, or remind me next week. So you have the option to do that if you want to. But we'll click on view just to show you can see how it works. And it will go into that job sheet that we've complete. Okay, so that's kind of how it looks in internally. I'll try and find one that I've got in an email, so just bear with me 1 sec while I pull that through. So here's one I did earlier. So you can see here, that's the email, and it's got the template as well, and you can go into that if you need to. Okay, so that's probably it for the types of templates that we got. So I think really the next thing that we need to sort of go through is some of the questions that you've asked. So let's just have a look to see what you've got, and we'll go through some of the questions that you've asked to see if I can answer some of them now. So let's have a look. Can you show us what email looks like? Yeah, we've just done that. So I've just showed you what the email looks like that we've kind of created, so you can see that. I'll go through that again just now so you can double check. So if we go through the email, here's an example of what an email might look like. So you can see here, you've got the details, and you've got some of the, this is for a timed one for the engineer, and they can open up that PDF and have a look into it. Okay, there was a question about, will there be any integration to Google Business in the future, email, calendar, and Meet? We don't use Microsoft Office. Currently at the moment there isn't, but it is something that is in the project plan, I believe, product plan. I will get someone to answer that fully, but I believe that it's something we are looking to in the future. Can you email a customer the day before an engineer is landed to visit them, to know to expect the engineer? Yep, you can, absolutely. Kind of what we went through with the timed bit, except you'd be emailing the customer instead. So what I'll do is I'll quickly show you how you could do that. So let's just open up Clik again. So if I go into settings, communication, notification. So I might click on add. This time I might click job, and it might be engineer planning. So I could again go, okay, let's have a look at the date time, start date of the engineer on the day. Click on next, add new action, click on email, click on configure. And when I go to add recipient, all you're doing really is you're doing the, oh, sorry, not from here, tell a lie. It will be add job. Select the property, select the date. So you've got the start date there of the job. And you could do 1 day before, click on next, add a new action, click on email, configure that email. This time I'm going to go add recipient. I'm going to use job contact as my one personally. So contact lookup, job contact, access other, add recipient. It could be multiple. Again, you could say, well, I want it to be the job contact, but I also want it to be the main contact of the company as well. So you can put as many as you like in there. And you could say, we are coming tomorrow, something like that. And then you can put in the details, hi, insert tag, put in the job contact first name, and then you could say engineer will be arriving tomorrow, and then you could put the engineer's name in here. So we could pay newest engineer, or next engineer, text field, first name. Will be arriving tomorrow. So that's the sort of thing you could do. So that's something you could send, and you give them that email when it happens. Okay, let's go for a few more emails. Is there a webinar available to show how to link a certificate from Clik Cert2 to a customer job notification? So the only thing you can do is if you've got Clik Cert, you will be able to, when you configure it, you'll notice here, include PDF of a certificate. So if there's a certificate linked to that job sheet, it will send it to them as well in the notification. But the notifications need to be running Clik Service. So hopefully that answers that question. Can you send an email, a plan for the following day, one email showing all jobs assigned to them? No, that's something we can't do, unfortunately. It would be one email per job, basically. But you could put the times on so they know exactly what time they're doing that particular job. The only other thing you could look at doing is maybe Office 365 calendar integration. So then you could send the engineer their jobs via Office 365 if that's something you want to do, maybe. After a job sheet has been sent to an engineer, if it is updated afterwards, would the engineer automatically receive the updated job sheet? Okay, I'm going to try and do that. After a job sheet has been sent to an engineer, if it's updated afterwards, would the engineer automatically receive the updated job sheet? Yeah, I think you're talking about maybe Clik Remote, Clik Jobs. You would still need to sync it to them if you're using Clik Jobs. That's probably separate to reminders. But essentially, the reminder or notification will happen if a trigger has happened on that particular job sheet, and then you save it, it will then trigger the notification. But in terms, I think if Mike talking about Clik Jobs there, you just need to resync it basically. Can you set to be notified a job status hasn't changed for a period of time? That's quite a tricky one. I don't think so. That's something I would have to look into. We'll get back to you on that one. And could we set a flag so only some customers are sent a reminder the day before? Yes, well, that's what you need to do when you're talking about your conditions. So basically, when you're looking at your conditions, that is the most important thing. So you might say, I only want it to be done for these particular customers. So for example, I might say, okay, I'll look up in here, customer equals A1 Design Services. So if it's A1 Design Services, they will get the message. And then also I want it for another customer, which is Banting Limited. So you can play with this, but I'd always change that to all. So it just means that this notification is only going to be sent to these two customers. So that's how you can change that. Okay, I think that's it for questions today. I'm just going to go through some of the other slides just to let us know what you think, how that went. If you've got any more questions about notifications, still put them through the questions as I'm talking. We will get back to you because we will type them up and we'll send it to you via email, and it will be on our website as well. But if you need to get in touch with us, any technical support issues, you can contact us on 0117 902 2012 or email us at hello@kliksoftware.com. And thanks for watching. Hopefully that was really useful for you. Just give us your feedback, and if there's anything else you want us to do or see regarding notifications, please leave your comments in the feedback survey. Okay, thank you very much for listening.